Hello everybody and welcome to another tutorial in camera and lens repair. And this time, well, I would like to actually, there was one of you out there that was asking if I drop my lens. In this case, it will be the AF-s Nikkor 18 to 55 millimeter 1.1 to 3.5 to 5.6 G, and it's a version 2 with the ED, and it's the DX lens. What if I drop it? It has been dropped somewhere, and some of the blades were falling out of place. Yeah, what could be done actually? I mean, yeah, there is actually something you can do. Well, I will take partly this lens apart because it's actually working really good. And so I also have this. Yeah, it has been disassembled, and well, something went wrong long time ago. I just get this for free without the back and everything. So I'll just use this to show how you can disassemble the aperture assembly in here, which you can maybe see both better from the front. And is it possible to actually put the blades back in? Well, I took a look inside this lens and see what I could find if I need to go into my good lens here, and in this case it has been dropped and the blades was falling out of place like another one out there. So I will simply use this one to just jump in. I mean, show how to take off the mount and the contact bridge here, and the side here, this barrel here, and then continue inside in this one. Because I mean, if it's if this one was, well, you say out of order, well, there could be a possibility to take a look inside the lens and see what can be done without any risk. So I mean, if it's already broken, what can you lose if you can figure out how to repair the lens, and in that way save a lot of money. So yeah, let's go into it. We need some tools for this case, at least some tweezers, different tweezers, very different tweezers. This is just what I will show in this one, and some of them I modified myself. Also, this is really good for working with aperture blades, put them in, and this is really good for, I mean, if you can possibly see, there's a hole between the two legs here. So it's really good to set in small springs on each end. And then this is just a tweezer with a bended ends, which can be very useful in many cases. And here is a dented tweezer, and this is just a straight one. Now, 1.2 millimeter flathead screwdriver can be very useful, and a small lens sucker in this case. It's a set of this one, Nordson. I don't know if you can get them anymore, but you can try to search on small lens suckers on the internet. A compass, something like this, is also very useful. I file and grind the tip, so it can be used as a lens spinner. And of course, we need the famous rubber cones which you can get from Japan Hobby Tool, and there will be links in the description. So take a look at it. Two crosshead JIS, as you can see here, stands for Japan Industry Standard. So this lens is actually made in Japan. It could be somewhere. It's assembled in Thailand. So, but no matter what, it's Japanese design with Japanese screw heads here. If you use Phillips screwdrivers, yeah, you could probably damage the screws or the screwdriver. A set of dentist tool like those with a flat spade kind of, and it could also be in the other end a different shape. This is from the second-hand store, which I like to buy those tools for actually not much. Now, to get into the lens, well, I will take off the mount. We'll also take off the front lens group. And yeah, maybe I should start with this one. So I will just use this lens, the out of order lens, for the cases here on the front. It's exactly the same here like this lens, but I will just show it here. So I will show how to take off the mount and the contact bridge and so on, as long as I come into here. It's not everything you need to disassemble. Now, we need to take off the mount here, and in this case there is a yeah, I don't know the name, a barrel or something, which sits with 3 screws. It will say here, here and here, and there's 2 screws for the contact bridge here, and this one here, and then the 3 screws on the back here. Now let's jump into it. I think it's I mean, the lens is actually very good if you look at how it's made of 85% plastic or so. The lens is actually really good in taking photos with, so and light. Now, all for this is just to take it out. See here, the inside here, not really much to see. There is nothing to disassemble here, so I mean, the contact bridge here sits with 2 different screws, like the 3 that hold this ring here. Just to keep that in mind. So when you arrange the screws in front of you, it will be much easier. So out with that. And then behind somewhere here, actually it will say this point here. Behind this there is a spring. It's not a steel ball, it's just a contact, it's a ground point connected to the camera. There is a wire behind here that we need to actually desolder from the contact point here, but it's not that hard to do. Just need some patience. A big bag. No, it's not that hard to work with those small lenses. Now, be careful to the flex cable here. So we just need to tweezer so you can show it. It sits normally up here. So it will say if you use a tweezer, you can simply pull it out a little and just wiggle a little. So it will come free from the mount. It will be more clear when we take off the mount itself. There could be some adjustment washers behind underneath the lens mount, so we can gently take it off. Maybe a tweezer can be very handy in this case, just to get the contact bridge free. Don't pull too much in the flex cable, or you will probably see you can just wiggle it out of the corner here of the contact bridge. So now the mount should come off quite easy, and then you will see the wire over here. See, it sticks out here. And the pin for the aperture connection, see, it's quite long, and it goes down here to the actual aperture connection pin down here. So now I will just desolder this point here. So it's free. So now I can work with the, you can see here, the aperture connection, something like that. And there is no need for actually try to move this aperture part, because if you see here, there is a piece of plastic here, there, and over here. So if I turn it, just in case you do that, so if you just turn it and by accident you push the pin here on the back a little too much, you'll see what's happened. It will pop free. It can come loose. So the only thing you need to do is press it down a little and simply turn it, so the three cut out here, here and here will come back to the correct position again. See here, and there, there and there, and then release it, and then it's all the way back to normal. It could be by accident. Now, further into the lens, the back. Where's my tweezer? Oh, this one. You see, there are some washers here. There could be less or more in your lens. And in here it's, well, let's see how many. There's one thick, a thinner, and a little thicker. So all in all, there are three. And of course they have to sit correct. So by doing this, you see it's lined up. The holes are lined up. And there is actually a guide pin over here. See this? You have the focus motor here, and the opposite side there's a pin here. So the only thing we need to do is this. You see the difference in in the holes here. There is a small one and a bigger one. The big one is for the screw that holds the bayonet or the mount. The small one is put back in here, and try to catch the little pin. It should be something like, where did it go? It should be something like here. So you can see there is a guide pin here, and there is a guide pin over here. So make sure the cutout here for the washers, or spacers, is where the wire is. So we can just take the 3 washers out here, put it somewhere. Now there is a switch here that shifts between auto focus and the manual focus. So now we can, if it's set to M, we can turn the focusing ring, or the auto. Well, it's of course locked to the motor. So we can just take it out. This. See, it's set to auto. That's important. And then it's held by 1 screw. Then we can just move it a little, and then it's out. And see the little fork here, it goes into the gear in here. And I can just show it on the other, what the other open lens, what's really happened here. See, the fork is going into actually lift up the gear here, so that the lens will be free. And if it's down, as you can see here, it's the gear that will make the movement with the SWN. So lift it up, and then you can turn the focusing ring, the front. See? And when it's down, it's locked into place. Now, there's not really anything else I will show here, but I will continue with this one. And if you look a little away of what is missing here, is nothing to do with this case here. So what we need to do is actually unscrew the front lens screw, and to do that we need to take off the name, which is self-adhesive. I think it's a stick with sitting with double adhesive tape, but you can, with a very thin dentist tool or something like that, simply lift it up. It's not really that sticky, so just go around and loosen it a little. Not too much. If you pull it too much, you'll damage it a little. And no, I do not touch the lens surface. And see here, you can simply pull it gently. and then it's free. So in the repair manual it says, well, there are 4 screws underneath here, I mean on the front here, but it's not the case in the real life lens. So in this case, and this is actually exactly the same for this lens, it's the same version, but the only thing we need to do is use a lens tool, compass, whatever you have, to simply put into the 2 notches here and have a good grip on here, not down here but here on the front, and simply by hand unscrew it. It can sit a little tight maybe, but not really much. So and in this case we can use a rubber tool to simply unscrew the rest of it. It will make it a lot easier. So, and now it's actually loose, and you can just let it fall into your hand. Remember, there are some washes, I mean spacers underneath here, and if we look into here, is what we actually see here, the next lens group, and then the aperture assembly is connected to it, and I will come closer to it sooner. This is the front lens group, and as you see here, there are actually 2 spacers. It could be different in your lens. So the whole front lens group is simply screwed in to the front, and just for a little funny thing, we just need to put this somewhere it can stay safe, and I just use a rubber tool kind of to have it sit away. And as you can see here, there's something about the repair manual. There are 4 screw holes here, but they are not in use in the real life lenses. So next thing we need to do is actually set the zoom ring to 18. It will say zoom out to white end, and as you can see here, I'll just I have my index mark here, and I simply zoom out to 18, and it will be the same as my normal lens. If we have it like, if we have it something like this, you can see everything is actually the same. I mean, it is the same except for some of the parts here, but it doesn't really matter in this case. So since I've been into the lens, I have set some marks, which I think is a good thing when you work with those lenses. And see here, this bag here, this tube here, when I turn the zoom ring, you can see this tube here, barrel also, which is connected to the zoom. I need to pull that off, but before doing so, I will at near end, I mean not near end, but zoom out to 18. This part here and the other end will stick out as much as possible, and I simply need to set some marks here. Just set a small mark here on the next ring, and on the outer part here. So now we're very sure if I disconnect this here, I will I know the exact position of when assemble it again. So I just need to press down, I mean press in a little, on this part here and then turn it. So if I press it in a little and at the same time turn, so you can see here it's free, and when I turn it further, it goes into click and stay there. So I will just push it in a little. Don't press too much. If you use a screwdriver or something, well, we can just see here, well, you could damage it, something like that. But the plastic is quite good quality. If you look here, you probably can see what's happened. So it will come loose, and then I can simply turn it. See, it's loose. Now it will come loose over around here. So if I turn it, you see what's happened. Come more out, and at some point it will come off. And you can see here, maybe you can see, I actually set some marks here. It will say, I set 2 marks here, just, yeah, that's just the way I work, and 1 in here. So if I show it here, set a mark here between those 2 well, parts of the plastic. So when it comes loose, it will be when the 2 lines are in are on the outer of the 1 line, and then it comes loose. Well, it's actually impossible to put it in incorrect. So if I think, okay, I will put it over here and possibly put it down here, well, it's not really possible, no matter what. So there's actually only 2 possibilities. See, here it's not really good. So the 2 possibilities does not work. And if I turn it even more, it will come over here, and you can see it will just click into place. That's important. So remember to set a mark where it comes loose. It will say here, off. So that's it. Very easy. And now we only need to unscrew 2 parts, then the whole aperture assembly, which this part is, will simply be possible to take it out. So I will put the lens back to 55 or zoom in as much as you can. So you see it's going like this. And what's happened? Well, if I zoom out to 18, this one will stick out and the other end will stick out as much as possible. And then if I put it to 55 millimeter, you see what's happened? The whole aperture assembly will simply go into the barrel and stick out here on the other end. So if I turn it, 18, 55. Now, I also set a mark here, which I think it's important. It will not just make it much easier when you put things back in again. And we can just set it to, just need to set it to, where's my tweezer? Here. So the focus is, so, there. So the zoom, the focus part here is as much in as possible. when the lens zoom is set to 55, and the whole aperture assembly is in as much as possible. As you can see here, it sticks out almost. Now then I set a mark here. It could be somewhere else, but it was just what I think. And in here, if you move the plastic, well, I don't know what's called, a screen, something like that, and set in here a mark also in here, in line with the other one up here. And you could also, just in case you miss something, you could set a mark in here somewhere. So now we know exactly position of that part. So the next thing is, actually I need to, you see there's two focus key. I need to take those out, but I will only mark one of those. So by using a sharp pointy tool, simply set a mark 1, and also set a mark 1 here, so you know, okay, this key will set here and not over here. I mean, no matter, they are the same key, but just sit opposite. So just to be sure, the part sits where they should. So the only thing I need to do is simply take out the key guide pins, or whatever you call them. So, oh, it falls out, no matter what, doesn't matter. And the other one. So there's only one key left. So the guide pin here, simply take out. And just to be sure, you see the holes here is actually a bit, well, see, it's a bit bigger than the two plastic pins. So that was one. And before taking out the other one, you simply need to have a finger here, so the aperture assembly will not just fall out. You could have it over here, so you have a finger pressing gently on it, so you see it will not fall out when I unscrew the pin here. So there. And this one. And when I take out the pin, the aperture assembly will be loose. So keep that in mind. Just to wiggle a little, and then it's free. So now you can put in a finger here and simply have it so it will not fall back. And then use a tweezer here to protect it from falling down. You can see it can turn a little. So when the mark is set, well, see here, I set some marks down here, and so I know exactly where the position of this the aperture assembly will be. So now the only thing I need to do is actually take the whole, this lens element here. It sits in front of the aperture part that moves. You can see here and there is a spring on the back here. So something like that. I need to take out the little spring before take off this lens. That's important. We can just put this aside. It's not use this time. So now we see there is a thin plastic, something like that. We could just let it stay there. I found out earlier that it's not really necessary to take off this thin plastic folio. What's important is when we work with this, it's actually, and the way the front the lens here is put in is held by some glue, hard glue. You see, it's where do we have it here? Where is it? My screwdriver. Just need this one. Okay. You see here, there are some glue on it. Not this one, but here. There's some glue, and there is also some glue here, and there is something up here. Those three places, this is glue. It's a kind of epoxy or something that will very easy break. I mean, not break in that way, but it will simply open. So what I did, I actually took a screwdriver and simply dig under it here. So it will simply let the glue here break. But I need, of course, to take out the spring first. So long time ago, I actually made this small tweezer. I simply hold the two ends, the two tips together, and simply use a little dentist sander tool, diamond tool, and simply make the ends round. In that way, it will be quite easy to get into the little spring here. I hope you can see it. And simply grab the spring and simply loosen it and lift it up so it can go free of the other end, and then it's free. So it's quite simple. See, it's really a good tool when working with small springs. They can be quite annoying to take out or put back in again. Now let's get back to the front here. Oh, I need to change battery, sorry, hold on. Now back to the thing. So what I did actually use a 1.2mm flathead screwdriver and simply dig under the side here by lifting it up very, very gently, just so the glue here is cracking or breaking or whatever you said. So lift it up gently so you can see here. Now it's loose. Then go to the other, which is over here, and where you can do it something like, you do not have to press too much in, because then you stick into the aperture ring, which you can see here. but you gently lift it up, and you can dig in here. Just keep a finger here, and then it will pop free. I mean, it should pop free. See, some of the glue here on the tape, this tape here, can be quite annoying. So I possibly can lift it up and hopefully get it loose. Yeah, you can see. So now the lens is loose, and it will go back to the exact same position like it was before. I just need to put the aperture ring back into place so you can see what was actually going on. Just so we see the same thing. So, and then move the aperture ring here. So now we can see what's happened. Oh, if I move the aperture moving ring, you can see the aperture plates will move. So, not really much, but so it is. So if by accident someone dropped their lens, it could be the case that this lens actually come loose. So, but it's not that hard to put back in again. So I will just open the aperture here and see what's inside. And we just need a dented tweezer. I think it will be more easy to take apart. Just grab on the side here and simply lift it up a little, then it's free. So, and then we have the aperture plates in here, which are quite small. We possibly need some more space in here. And let's see how it looks if we get them out. See, I just move one blade out, because then doesn't matter which blade it is. This blade I move out actually is holded by the 2-3 other blades here, and then that way I can take this blade out. Remember, I think it's all plastic in here, which we actually can check. Is it all plastic, or the blades? Are the blades made of plastic, or are they made of metal? Well, it's not really metal, as you can see here. This screwdriver is magnetic, and the blades are not made of metal. So be careful of when take out the blades. You do not need to damage the little pin in here on one blade. So just take them out very gently. It's not that hard. So there. And we can simply just move this blade into place, and the other. The blades can actually only sit in one position, I mean one way, so it's not that hard. And if there was oil on the aperture blades, well, you could just do this. So and now the blades are out. There is a lens element here which you cannot take out. Not really. So yeah. So it is. I just forgot to said there was some kind of rubber glue or something, silicone or so, that sits on the side of the of this lens element. So when it sits here, there was some gray, I think it's silicone or something they used. It sits over here, and something sits over here. It's not really a problem, but we can just take it out. It does not really do anything anymore. So that's it. Now, let's say we have fixed the blade problem here, and we will just do it all backward. So we go on reverse and put things in again. Make sure the blade sits where they should. I mean, you cannot put them in a wrong way. As you can see here, if we try to put them in, they will simply not fit at all, no matter what. So they can only sit in one position, which is really good. Let's see how it will go with this small lens sucker. Nah, it's too big. Now we can just move on with the tweezer here. See, we do this. This goes in here. So catch the hole where the blade will go in. And we take this here. So there. Then we're almost there. So here we are. Now, as in the beginning, well, I just need to take this out again, because I need to push the first blade I took out. I need to push that out, and the next one too, so they will hold the first blade I put in. See? So 1, 2, 3 blades hold the first blade in place. That's the most easy way to do it. And I will just continue with the rest of it. So there, and the last one. So here. And then we are almost there. And well, you can see the first blade I took out. It will it can be a little problem to put in, because we have to lift it up a little. So having a kind of a stand to put this on. Where do we have something? Just to be, it will just make it easier. this. Is it possible? No, just need this one. Some of those grey rubber tools are really good to act as a stand. So now I will just need my bended tweezer here and another one, and simply do this here, lift up the first blade. At the same time I move it into place. So now we're almost done, and then we can just put the other blade into place so they will sit correct. They're really thin, but it's not a problem. Just need some good patience. So there and here, this sit there, so it actually made a circle. So there. So we're almost there, and then I can put in the aperture ring, which can only sit in one way, like this. And it actually worked with a dented tweezer, because then I can better have it in correct position, something like that. And just to see if we can do it. Should be there. Something like that. And then I can move the aperture ring into place. It's a bit just because the plastic is so light. So now we are back again, and you can see I can move the aperture ring fully open and close. That's all fine. Now back to the lens element. There's something here. Don't blow into any air into the area at the moment. You will probably move something. Now you see the big gap here is actually where this part here is actually covering where the aperture pin is. So when I put this on again, just a tiny hair, so then lower it gently, and we will probably need a dented tweezer to, you can see here, and lower it. Should be possible. So there. Now you see the glue, the original glue, which is the white stuff here, is actually what is very stiff, kind of. So when I press the this lens assembly over it gently on each side here, there and over here, it will simply click into place, and it will sit correct. I mean, it cannot sit in a different place, in a different way, because the glue is actually make make it stick to where it should sit. So one can actually use some kind of a plastic glue to make the lens sit here in correct position. So let's see what we can do. Hold on. So I will just use some PEC-PAD plastic adhesive, which it's actually contain acetone, as you can see here. And it would, I think it will work really good because of the acetone is actually very good to melt or soften plastic. So I will just use a dentist tool, kind of, and in that way add a little, not too much, and let it sit somewhere. So there, we can set something over here. It dries out really fast. So there, and we can add a little over here. Do not have it on the lens element. So there, and we need something over here. So there. I think it will work pretty good in this case. So there. And that's it. There. And I think I will just use some tools to hold it down in a way, and in that way press it down a little and let it stay there just a few seconds so it will sit. I think it will work pretty good. So next thing is just to wipe something of the glue away here. And something over here. Now, so now we have a working aperture assembly, which you can see here, can move just like new. So now I need to put in the spring, and say that's all fine. Where is my little spring here? My special tweezer. See the very tiny spring here. And then flip it over, and then we can have the back here. Oh gosh, fell out. So I think I will just put it on the plastic end first. It'll say that end over here with the number 2. Say there. And let it come into place here. Hope you can see it. Yeah. And then it sits where it should. So now I can simply put the aperture assembly into the lens and say that's all fine. You can see it's actually working. Whoa, that's fine. And I have my mark somewhere here. This is over here. And it should go into here, where the mark is actually here. This mark here. It will go this mark here where I set it in the beginning. Let's see, I could just have a finger here, up here, and let it gently fall into place where it should sit. I know it can be a little tricky to see, but hopefully you will get the point. So there. Mm-hmm. Come on, little fellow. It can be a little tricky. Here we are. Then you can see it. Oh, sorry, I was out of frame, but hope you get the point. See, this mark I actually set in the beginning. It goes up to here. So now I should be able to flip it over and put in a guide pin, and it will be number 2 I take first. And of course, if the guide pins need a little grease, well, you could use a little Japan hobby tool grease grade 10 and just wipe a very fine layer of grease on the pin here, on the outside here, and on the side here and here. It will I think it will work pretty good. So I simply need to put the pin on, and it is should be number, okay, take number 1 and simply put the pin in here, catch the little there, and then we are actually all fine. So now I can set the lens here and put in the first screw without any problem. Whew, safe home. And I do not turn it yet until both pins are in. So there. The other one. You maybe can use some super glue for plastic. It could be a good solution for, I mean, so it should work pretty good. So now we are back again, and I can see the zoom is actually working pretty good. And it's really good. So now I can put in the back cover here, and since I set a mark here in the very beginning, you can see the 2 mark here, and there is a 1 mark here. See, between the 2 parts here. So I know exactly where it should sit there, and it will click into place there. And then you can see it's actually working. Not that hard. And that was actually that. I mean, I need to put in the front lens group, which is here. There is 2 spacers, so just have it like this and put it over and simply turn it and have it turn it all the way until you actually have screwed the lens group into place, because in that way you will not harm the 2 or 3 thin spacers here on the front. Then tighten it good, so, and then we can actually just put the label on. Where did I put that? It was for the other one, so we can just use this. Can just put this on. And say that's all fine for this. I mean, I can just put my lens in here, put it back in again, and for that I need some this little screw goes onto where the little fork in here set to A, and then you're able to put the fork in here. Don't press any not at all, because then you could break some of the plastic parts. Then I can put the 2, 3, 4 or whatever, how many of those spacers into here. Something like that. Lower it over and catch the hole and the pin. So something like that. It can be a little tricky to put on, but we will manage. see, it's not that hard to actually fix a lens like this. Just need to be aware of the plastic parts, that you do not press too much. So now it sits where it should, and then I can add the soldering point here. So there, on. Oh, sits there. And that's all fine. Then we need to put in the pin here to catch the aperture in here that moves. So you see here, this pin, the long pin, goes on this side. I would say on this side here, and then you could lower it, take care of the wire here. Then we should be able to put that in here. So there. Does it work? Well, it actually works pretty good. Then I can just add a screw here on one of the holes, so we are almost safe home, and then gently pull the contact bridge up here, and should be able to do this, so it sits with the hole here, two holes here, so it would sit there. And then the two screws that goes into the contact bridge, it will be the thread that is a bit more fine. I'm missing a screw here. Oh gosh. So the thread are more fine, a machine screw you should say. It should fit here. Put it in. Next one, and then we're almost there. So then the back cover here, and be aware of the aperture pin here. Should just sit there. Everything should work really good, and with a thinner screwdriver, it will be the 2mm. It's just easy to put in the 3 screws. And the last one. So, and then the 2 other screws for the mount. Here we are. So that was actually that. I mean, if we look to here, you see the aperture here is actually working as it should in this lens, part of the lens. So that's it. I think it's not that hard to to do. I mean, you do not need to take the lens apart as much as this one is, but you take off the mount, the contact bridge, the cover here on the back, the front lens screw, then the two guide pins and the cover here, and then you pull out the whole thing, the whole aperture assembly, and working with that. So I mean, hope the info about this lens can be useful in case you drop the the lens and the aperture blades will fool around inside. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the VR lens version of this here, it's different made. So yeah, that's a different story. I don't know if I will make a video about it. Well, let's see, but hope you can use the info in this video. So that's all. Bye bye.